Hey everybody, Courtney here with Smitty's Fly Box. Just going to go over our intermediate fly for the month of May, which is our Balanced Leech pattern. One of our favorite stillwater patterns that we have fished. Works really good in rivers too if you've never tried that, so give it a shot. Here I've got the size 6 Mustad 90-degree jig hook here in my vise. We sent you 2 hooks, so just be aware of that. So this is the size 6 hook. So with the pin, we're just going to start our thread obviously, and then we're going to get our pin situated onto our hook. I've trimmed the pin down, and with the bead I put the wide hole on first, so the wide hole will meet up with the head of that pin. And the way we get this leech balanced is I'm going to go 2 bead widths out, so you should be able to basically fit 2 beads between that gap from the eye to where your bead sits. And that's kind of the measurement for the size 6 hook, and you want to really anchor that down really well. I'm going to add some glue here as well to kind of help keep that secure. Now with the size 10, if you're wanting to use the smaller hook, I actually like those small, the smaller hook, the size 10 for like bluegill and stuff works really well. But you'll want to adjust the pin length on that one. So if you're going to be using the size 10, you're going to have just about a bead width. It's actually a little bit less than what the bead is wide to stick that out in front of the eye on the size 10 hook to keep that balanced. Obviously, if you're going to be using different size beads, you'll want to adjust accordingly. So you add the super glue. I've had them where I haven't super glued them and the pins pull right out, and that's just bad. So we're gonna go ahead and put our marabou tail in. We've got that golden olive color, and the length of it, I'm just gonna make the length of the tail from the hook shank up to the pin head. So it's gonna be a little longer, which I like with these, is that tail will really move in the water, and it looks really good, I think, in the water. It moves just like a leech would. Has a really good presentation. So I'll just wrap my thread up to where my pin starts. Go ahead and cut out the rest of that marabou. I just used 1 feather there, and we'll just go ahead and anchor all that material down again. And to go back here to our tie-in point for our tail, and we'll be able to add our flashabou. So with the flash, I've just got a strand here. I fold it in half, and I'll just capture that with my thread right against the side of the hook shank with a couple of good tight turns. And then I'll just trim these down even with the tips of the marabou, and then we'll repeat on the opposite side. You don't have to use the marabou. I've gone back and forth on, or sorry, you don't have to use the flashabou. You do need marabou. You don't have to use the flashabou. It's kind of just personal opinion on that, but I kind of like it when the water's a little off color too. It kind of gives a little flash, so that helps with fish finding it and locating it. And then just bring your thread up. I like to give a couple of good turns behind the bead to help lock that in, and we'll do more as we bring our dubbing up, but just kind of get a nice thread layer going across our hook and up onto our pin. So now with our dubbing, we've sent Arizona Semi-Seal in previous boxes, so you might be familiar with using it. If you're not familiar with using Arizona Semi-Seal, it is pretty coarse dubbing, and so when you're using this dubbing, especially to cover a whole hook shank, I found it easier to just go 1 part at a time. So I try to do it in about thirds. Now, if you try to do the whole hook shank at once, it gets kind of messy and it will frustrate you. So I just roll on a small clump, and I'll start to bring that forward. And then when I run out, I'm just going to add more. I don't try to do the whole hook shank at once. It just kind of turns messy. So kind of treat it like a marathon, not a sprint at this point, and you're just going to keep adding as you need. I've always found with any dubbing, it's just better to have less is more. You can always go back and add more rather than have to peel it off if you have too much. So I'll just work my way up the hook shank here. Notice I'm rolling it on fairly tight. You do want it to have, you want it to be a little loose so you can be able to brush it out really well. You're not going to be able to get it too tight anyways, just because it is so coarse. So I'll just keep working my way up here, and then I'm going to get up to in front of the eye of the hook. And I'm just going to cross over in front of the eye and then start to build up towards the head here. I have a little excess here, so I'll just pull that out, what I don't need, and then I'll add the rest of the dubbing here as well. Cool thing about this pattern I love is being able to mix and match colors of marabou and dubbing with it. So we sent you a couple different color combinations, which I really like. All these are some of my favorite ones: the dark olive with the light olive tail, and then that blood with the blood dubbing with the black marabou is one of my favorites. One trick I found with this here, I'm going to go ahead and brush out all my excess dubbing. We want that dubbing to really flow down through the hook shank. That'll give it a lot of movement, but it also, as you brush out before you whip finish here, you'll find it might have a dead spot right behind the bead, and I'm going to go ahead and fill that in with some more dubbing and then brush it out again. So you just want to make sure you brush that out. Any Velcro brush will work, and that'll help it to really move really well in the water. So I'll just add a little bit more dubbing here right behind the bead, just kind of fill in that dead spot. And then from there, I'm going to brush it out again before I whip finish. I found that if you brush out your dubbing before you whip finish, you're less likely to snag your thread and break it. So I'll brush it out, and then we'll whip finish and we'll be done. So let us know how you guys do with this pattern. We love fishing it here on the lakes out west. Love to see how it works back east and down south, wherever you guys may be. Let us know how it works. Make sure you tag us in Instagram, Facebook. We'd love to see what you guys come up with and what fish you're catching with it. So enjoy and good luck with it.